Sud 98.9, Centre 97.3, Est-Ouest 91.7. RM1, it's 9 o'clock. The news presented by Eris Stewart. Good morning, Eris.
Good morning, Sophie.
The headlines.
Mauritius and France reaffirm deep historic ties as Navin Ramgoolam and Emmanuel Macron hold high-level talks. Emmanuel Macron welcomed at the Prime Minister's office for a ceremony marked by formalities, gift exchanges and a tête-à-tête between the two leaders. Mauritius signs new energy and sustainability agreements with European partners as Macron visits the Kodor Arts Centre. Sattar Haji Abdullah appears in court as the FCC objects to bail in a case involving the alleged diversion of 3.7 million rupees. El Capo alleges corruption within the Mokasi ID as his detention is extended, while lawyer denounces restricted access to his client. In world news, UK authorities uncover billion-dollar money laundering network. And in sports news, major blow for Gajadar stable as leading jockey suffers a season-ending ankle fracture. You would have followed on our airwaves last night. The Mauritian Prime Minister and the French President spoke at length to the press from the Sir Arilal Vaji Hall in Port Louis. Navin Ramgoolam highlighted the historical, friendly, cultural and commercial ties between Mauritius and France. After a one-on-one meeting followed by a working session with Mauritian ministers, several joint dossiers were reviewed. The head of government thanked France for what he described as its unwavering support in the Chagos affair. He specified that the Tromelin dossier was raised during the discussions, as well as a series of agreements signed in the areas of blue economy, energy transition, sustainable water management and food security. Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam received the French President Emmanuel Macron at his office in Port Louis in the early evening. The French head of state first signed the guest book before an exchange of gifts. The two men then held a one-on-one meeting, a commentary voiced by Maya Lachman.
Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam received the French President Emmanuel Macron at his office in Port Louis in the early evening. The French head of state first signed the guest book before the exchange of gifts. Then the two leaders had a tête-à-tête.
On the occasion of the French President's visit to the Kodor Arts Centre, Mauritius and its European partners signed a series of agreements focused on energy transition and the sustainable management of resources, cooperation with Reunion Renewable Energies, the transformation of thermal power plants. These signatures are intended to help the country catch up on its delay in green energy. Maya Lachman tells us more.
At the National Assembly's lunchroom, 7 agreements were signed between the French and Mauritian authorities. The agreements cover areas including tertiary education, scientific research, agriculture and the sugarcane industry, amongst others. One of the key agreements introduces the bilingual francophone system into Mauritius education framework to be implemented as a pilot project in 10 colleges and 10 primary schools. After the tête-à-tête between Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam and President Emmanuel Macron, both leaders proceeded to the receptorium of the National Assembly, accompanied by Speaker Shirin Omiroudi Zifra. An expanded working session was held with officials from Mauritius and France, including advisors and members of the diplomatic corps. During the session, the two sides discussed bilateral relations as well as a range of other key topics.
And finally, the state visit of Emmanuel Macron continues. Today, the French president will go to the Sir Siwu Sagar Ramgoolam Botanical Gardens in Pamplemousse this morning. He will be welcomed by the Prime Minister, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam, his deputy, Paul Béranger, as well as by the president of the Pamplemousse District Council and ministers Arvin Boulel and Fabrice David. The Pamplemousse Botanical Garden, recognized for its preserved biodiversity, is the oldest of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere. Sattar Haji Abdullah, arrested for money laundering, appeared in the Port Louis District Court yesterday. The FCC has objected to his release on bail. He is accused of having diverted nearly 3.7 million rupees in March of 2020. Take a listen to more on the story with Maya Lachman.
Sattar Haji Abdullah will remain in detention until November 26. At the Port Louis District Court this Thursday, the Financial Crimes Commission opposed his release, stating that he could interfere with witnesses or tamper with evidence. The FCC investigation concerns a transaction of over 3.7 million rupees, an amount found in the account of Grant Thornton Limited, an accounting and consulting firm led by Sattar Haji Abdullah. The transaction took place in March 2020. The company allegedly received these fees without having completed the contracted services requested by Air Mauritius Limited. According to the FCC investigators, this amount may have originated in whole or in part from proceeds of crime. The lawyer of Sattar Haji Abdullah, Rauf Gulbul, informed the court to his client's fragile health condition. Magistrate Shahin Doriaou noted that the authorities would ensure he receives the necessary medical care.
Brandon Rodriguez Sena, also known as El Capo, made explosive revelations against officers of the Mocha CID. Called to the stand during his appearance in the Flak court yesterday, El Capo denounced acts of corruption involving CID officers. El Capo has been returned to police custody until the 27th of November. Magistrate Arvin Ram Sohok extended his police detention, even though after 21 days, a suspect is normally taken into preventative detention at the prison. In the Flak court, El Capo's lawyer Irfan Jadakan deplored that the police were not giving him access to his client, even though he had tried to meet him. And in other news, and a sad development in the accident that occurred at Résidence La Cure. A second victim was announced. Feroz Moulabakis died yesterday while he was admitted to G2 hospital. He had been hit by the car driven by Kenny Lowton on 15 November. On that day, little Kian Alfred, 3 years old, who was in his father's arms, had also been fatally struck. The driver had tested positive for drugs after the collision. And it's 9:07. You're listening to RM1. We move to international news. A $1 billion money laundering network operating across the UK purchased a bank in Kyrgyzstan to help Russia evade Western sanctions and channel funds towards the Ukraine war, British police said. The network has used hundreds of couriers in at least 28 UK towns and cities to collect criminal cash from drug dealing and firearms trafficking, among others. The money was then quickly converted into cryptocurrency and moved around the world. Britain's National Crime Agency said as it shared an update on the latest phase of the UK-led Operation Destabilize. The international effort has now led to 128 arrests and the seizure of more than £25 million in cash and cryptocurrency in the UK. And finally in sports, a heavy blow for the Gajada stable. The season of Brazilian jockey Manuel Nunes is over. The rider fell during training on Thursday morning while he was riding Crescent. Taken to the clinic, an ankle fracture was detected. Nunes leader in the jockey standing with 18 wins, will therefore not be able to ride during the last 4 race days. Furthermore, jockey Ryan Curatolo has been dismissed by the Selvum Muchen stable. And that's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for listening. Stay tuned now to the Intermediate playlist until